Hi, it's Kay of Kay's Creative Home. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a patriotic wreath using 3 different ribbons. And I'm starting by wrapping my 14-inch round wreath form with this blue ribbon with stars all over it. And all of the ribbon I'm using today is from Sam's Club. And I just wrap it round and round and round to get it started and make sure it's loose. And then I pick a starting point at one of the crossbars so that I can add some glue around the edge of the frame and on that crossbar a little bit. So right now I've got it a little too tight, so I've got to loosen it up some so I have some room to maneuver the ribbon as I'm working. So I'm just going to go back here through all these loops, loosen them up. And now I got some flexibility here. I'm going to start the ribbon and I wrap it around a few times to make sure I have it at the right angle, because there's an angle you can get where you're wrapping this and the ribbon will stay smooth. It won't be all crumpled up or gathered in certain spots and looking all wrinkled. So once I've got that, and to get that, you just kind of play with it, try different angles, slightly move it a little bit till you get that. And then I start by adding some hot glue to the back side of the wreath frame, right on that outer rim, and I hold that down a second. And then I'm going to just start wrapping it. And as you see, I overlap the last bit of ribbon that's on the frame. And I'm overlapping it, not even probably a 1/4 inch. I just try to cover up the edge of the last one. And then I do about 3 wraps. And then I add a little bit of glue again. And I do about 3 wraps again. And go back, add a little bit of glue. And sometimes I add a little bit of glue if I'm remembering, not only to the rim, but to the previous ribbon too, a little teeny bit, just so that I make sure it doesn't move off of that previous ribbon that's on the frame. So I'm going to keep going around and around and around until I get this whole frame done, and it's the same thing, just slowly going around, smoothing it as I go, and adding that little bit of glue here and there to keep it steady. Make sure, at any point if somebody's grabbing this frame, they don't pull the ribbon out of place. So I had to stop a minute and catch that wire that was coming out of the ribbon where I started, because it was getting me in my clothes. But so I used a clamp to kind of hold it in place. And now I'm going to, since I've run out of ribbon, I'm just going to wrap and wrap and wrap some more, leaving it nice and loose again, so I have some flexibility to work with. And then I'm going to just keep wrapping until I get this completely covered. So now that I have my circle wreath form done, I'm going to work on my star, and thought through this a little while as to how I could wrap my star with ribbon. And for all those points, it was like, ugh, what do you do? So I'm going to try, well, I tried it already. I made one and it worked out. So what I'm going to do is go from I don't want to say side to side, but just go throughout the star. So I was trying to lay it on here to see if it would work. Now what I'm doing is going around the star, but on the face. So I put a little bit of glue on that top and bottom bar there of that section, and just laid the ribbon on there. So it's only glued in that one little section. And it takes a little while to just hold it and just keep kind of rubbing it in. So where it goes past my hand, it's not glued down. It's still free on that end. And I'll catch that when I'm come around back to that side. So the next thing you see I had to do there was fold it so that I could make my crease right at the inner point of that star and continue to go around the star. So I'm at a whole nother angle. So that fold in the middle there had to be made to adjust for turning that angle. And it's kind of hard to describe how to do it, but if you just keep playing with the ribbon so that you actually turn it to go to the next section, but have a nice little line there at the crease of the star. And like I said, just play with it a minute until you get it like you want it to be. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue right along the crease. And I'm making sure it's under that. For that part, there is a double fold where I folded it under. So it's underneath of that, so that the glue won't come through on the top. You won't see any like wet spots or dark spots. And now I've got all this extra fabric underneath there, and where it sticks out inside the star, see where I'm just tucking it under with my hand? Because there's wire in the ribbon there, so when you fold it under, it'll stay, and if you don't think it will, you can add a little bit of glue later. So here I am again, going down those two lines, not going very far, and just working on the ribbon, holding it down until it gets connected with the glue there. So when I get that connected, I'm going to do the same thing again. I hope this camera angle is close enough so that you can see what I'm doing, because like I'm saying, it's kind of hard to describe it. You probably just have to play with it until you get it. So here again, I'm folding it under, and then I'm going to go around, work my way around there. And you see there, I put a little bit on the crossbar. I thought that would help me kind of hold it in place. Then I realized later for myself, it didn't really help. It didn't help. It made it a little more awkward to fold the ribbon in. If you find it helps you, then do it that way. Because you see how I'm now trying to fold the ribbon, and it made it a little harder because that bottom piece there is way over. It's no longer in line with the crease of the star. So it takes me a minute to get that extra piece of fabric. See that right there? Yep. I had to get that all pushed under. So I use my little tool. I love this little spatula tool I got from Dollar Tree. I use it for so much. So yeah, I kept pushing it under until I got that crease right in line with the stars, crossbar there. And it's ready. The ribbon is also ready to go down that next side. Yeah, so like I'm saying, it takes a minute sometimes to get it lined up. Be patient. You can do it if you want to try this out. And then I finally got it lined up, everything ready to go on to that next side. And in a minute, I'm going to lift it up and add my glue so I can work it to hold it down. Now, what I didn't think about until later was that I needed to attach this star. I don't know why I don't think about that till later. So one thing I want to mention is that the crossbars, the ones that lead up to the points of the star, make sure you leave a gap in some of those. Don't glue all of those completely down. You need a little bit of a gap in that to attach your zip tie or your pipe cleaner or whatever you're going to use to hang your wreath or your star on. I'm sorry, whatever you're going to use to attach your star to your wreath, which is what I'm doing. Or if you want to just use the star by itself, you need a space to attach it so you can hang your star. Okay, so I'm continue working around here, letting you kind of see how I'm bending this back and forth. And if you think you got it, you can go ahead and advance to the next step. All right, be right back. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is make a bow, and I'm actually going to make 5 of the same exact bows. I started out with my wider ribbon, and I took the tail out to the 5 inch mark, and each loop is going to the 5 inch mark too. So I just make my loop and do a twist the ribbon, go to the other side, make my loop, twist the ribbon there in the center, go to that other side, make my loop, twist it in the center, and then I'm going back to the other side once more, measure it out to the 5 inch mark, and this time we don't have to twist because we're finished, and I'm just cutting the tail at 5 inches. I chose 5 inches for these because I wanted it to be a nice little concise bow that fits within the frame, and I wanted it to look more full than I did big or wide. Excuse me, big or wide. So I'm going to take this and put a zip tie around the center when I'm finished, and also add a zip tie to the back. So I was getting those ready, and the second zip tie will be to attach it to my frame. So for the next one, I did a 5 inch tail, and then I did my loops at 4 inches. So when you finish your bows and you're ready to cut your tails, you kind of just decide then exactly how long you want them to be. So I got 5 inch tails and 2 loops on each side for a total of 4 loops. And the loops on that one again were 4 inches so that it could come in some more. And now for my next layer of loops, I'm doing again 5 inch tails and now 3 inch loops. They have come in a little bit more so that they will be a little more, that'll give that bow a little more fullness, and you'll be able to see the other ribbon underneath. So again, 5 inch tails, 4 loops that are 3 inch, and then in the very center there I just did a 1 inch loop so that when I finish my bow I'll have that little loop in the center. Alright, so I'm adding my zip tie around it at the center, and I'm laughing because my stomach is just a gurgling. I hope it won't be showing up in the recording. So anywho, I got my loop, can't even talk. I got my zip tie around the center of my bow, holding it in place, and you see I just slid another one in the back that I'm going to use to attach it to the frame. So I made it a little snug, I tightened it a little bit, and now I'm going to shape my bow for how I want it to look. And then once I get it all nice and shaped up, just to me shaping means spreading out the loops, making sure you can see them where you want them to appear once your bow is finished. And just moving them around, making every space kind of get filled in, everything looking nice and fluffy. And then when you actually pull it really, really tight to finish it, like I'm going to do right now, that's what makes the center loops kind of pop. It draws them into the bow and makes them stand up. So you can see there on that bow, as you get further to the top, those ones are standing up a little more, whereas the outer ones or the back ones kind of laid out or spread out. All right, so I'm going to zoom in a little closer so you can watch this bow. I'm going to make one more and just let you watch this one. And then we're going to move on to the next step. If you got your bows down, you can fast forward to the next step. All right, be back in a moment. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is decide how I'm going to put these pieces together. We have the star, the round ring wreath part, and we have the bows. So I had made the star in the blue ribbon and in the tan ribbon. So I'm going with the blue to match the wreath. And what I want to do is attach the bows kind of in where the star indents on each side, so that the points of the star will be between the bows. So what I'm going to do is kind of add the bows at a place or the position where the 5 points of the star would be, and then I'm going to turn the star slightly so that it'll actually be between the 2 points. That makes sense? It's like I want the 5 points of the star to be attached, but I want the bows to show up kind of in between each point. So I've got my zip ties already attached, so I'm going to just zip tie them on in kind of 5 positions, kind of equally around the ring of this wreath form. And once I get them all on, then I'm going to go back and clip my tails, because I'll really be able to see kind of how I want them. I don't want to cut them too short. If there's a space they might fill in. Alright, so I'm going to work my way around here, get them all attached, and then we'll be ready to add the star. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please share it with others so that would greatly help my channel to grow. I don't know if many of you know, some of you are new to my channel, but I had a period of 10 months where I was out sick and I just couldn't make any videos. Too much was going on in my life. And so I'm back, feeling much better. Body is healing, doing much better. And so now I'm making videos again, but I lost my monetization. So I am trying to get enough watch hours to start being a part of the program again, where I get paid for making my videos by YouTube. And that would really help me with buying my supplies and things. So if you could share it with others, and if you're interested in seeing me continue to make these wreaths, just hit that button and ring the bell so you can become a part of the family, and you'll be notified when new videos are released. Alright, so thank you. I'm going to keep adding these bows, and then I'll be back with the star I'll be adding. Now before I add my star, I do need to clip the tails on my bows, and I just clip the tails at a point where I liked how they laid. You know, kind of depending on where the tails ended up as you're shaping your bow. It could be like filling in a spot, so I might want it to be a little longer. Or if it's on top of a lower loop, a bow loop, then I might want it a little shorter so you can see the bow loop underneath. It just depends. So I'm going to go work my way around here and get all these tails clipped, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Now I really like though how it filled in my wreath, because I don't have just sometimes you attach tails just to the wreath form, and I don't have those, so I like how the bows are filling in the wreath, making it look nice and full. Happy with that part. Alright, let's move on. Before I move on, there's one thing I forgot to mention, that your zip ties you use to attach your bows, make sure that they're turned so that the end of your zip tie is hidden underneath the bow. If it's on the back of your wreath, it could scratch your door, or even if you use pipe cleaners, if they're twisted on the back of your wreath, make sure they're tucked in very well so that those wire tips won't be scratching your door. That, or make sure it's always ends up with the connection being hidden, be underneath your bow. So I just kind of slid my zip ties around until the end of it was underneath the bow and clipped them there. And that way that little piece that hangs off the end would not scratch my door. Okay, just a little tip there. So the next thing I want to do is attach my star to the wreath. I'm going to let it lay right on top of those bows, just like you see it here. And the points of the star are going to be in between each bow. So I mentioned earlier, this is where I forgot to leave some space and I'm searching for a spot. I need some space to insert this little pipe cleaner, and I forgot and was so busy gluing down all of my ribbon that I didn't do this. So I mentioned earlier when you were putting down your ribbon to make sure you left a spot in a few places so that you can attach your zip tie or your pipe cleaner or whatever you're going to use to attach it to your wreath. For this one, you can see I call each point of the star the legs. So you can see how I put it in between the legs of the star, and it's kind of on the center ring. There you can see it better attached. And right across from that, I chose a point of the star, or one of the legs of the star, where it can be attached. So I've got two places. Now the one that's attached at the top, because it was closer to this top and it kind of slid back and forth, it was harder to hide it once I attached it to the wreath. So if you can always work on that inner section like I did there at the bottom. See how it's past that middle bar, it's on the inner section. That one I was able to attach without it being seen at all. This one I had to kind of work with the bow to hide it. So, well, the top one at the point, I had to work with the bow to hide it. So now I'm going to just find my way through the bow layers and get down to that wreath frame itself. And then I'm going to wrap this around the wreath frame and twist it in place so that it's locked in place. And remember, your wreath frame is covered by ribbon, so you can't go directly to one of the metal bars. You have to completely wrap it around the wreath. So you want a zip tie that has a really good coordinating color in case it's seen, or you want to make sure you can hide it very well. And that's where I'm working now with the ribbon to make sure that it's really hidden. So I'm going to get that attached, top and bottom. That's all you needed to hold it in place. It's very lightweight, so you don't have to worry about it, being too heavy or having to attach it super securely. It'll hold its place. Alright, so the last thing I need to do is attach a hanger so that I can actually hang the wreath to the door. And this is called bind wire. I got it off of Amazon, and there's a link in my description box if you'd like to purchase some. It is an affiliate link, so I get a few pennies. I appreciate it if you use it if you want to purchase some. So you can see there's a whole bunch on there. It's not expensive. And I'm going to just clip myself. I measured out using my mat there, 24 inches twice. So I've got 48 inches right there in my hand. And I'm going to do a little knot at the top, leaving a loop so that it'll have a place to hang from. And then the two loose ends I'm going to attach to my wreath itself. And I'm going to attach it to both sides of a bow, those two bows facing me. I'm going to go on the outer side and attach it to the wreath form just past the bows. And it has wire in it, so once I attach it, I can just twist it and lock it in place. Again, making sure that the very end of that wire is tucked in so it won't scratch your door. So I'm going to get that on there, and you'll see how I can just hang it up. And I am almost finished here, so I'm going to show you some final pictures right there. You can actually see how the wreath is going to look. And then I'm going to show you some final pictures as usual of the wreath hanging on a few different doors, so you can get an idea of how it would look on a different color door. All right. I don't know what I'm doing next. I can't share that with you right now, but I will have something new. I think it's going to be a nautical wreath that's coming up next. So you can see on the back there where that string is kind of attached. So I want to thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll be talking with you again real soon.